Kat, we are live. I think, yes, we're doing a live stream. So I just want to wait 1 second if anyone is going to come and join us.
Sure.
It's so lovely to have you here. And thank you for joining Cabooses, Neuro Nuggets, and Divergent Discussion today.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
The topic that we're going to be speaking about, and I love this topic, is the importance of creating and practicing joy as a neurodivergent human. That's such a cool topic.
Even just you saying it, I get little goosebumps because it's such a near and dear topic to me, and
Yeah.
so important today. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah, I'm excited to dig into it.
I don't think we focus enough on just joyful moments. I'm going to do a little bit of an opening and I'll be reading this because I don't want to make a mistake. Like I mentioned to you before, I do have ADHD, so I kind of drift off the script if I don't read it. So everyone, welcome to our Divergent Discussion. My name is Carla Pretorius. I'm a registered psychotherapist. I'm also the clinical lead at Caboose, and I'm busy with my PhD at the moment specifically on ADHD in women. Caboose exists to create belonging, understanding, and support for neurodivergent people. At the heart of what we do are our Neuro Nuggets, which I know you're familiar with, Kat.
Okay.
These are short, practical guides that help you understand how your brain works and find ways to make work and life easier. They also help workplaces build genuine, inclusive spaces, which is very important. This is just a reminder, too, that the Divergent discussion that we're doing today is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so everybody will be able to see that. We'll have time at the end for audience questions, so you can just add that to the questions, just the messages, and then I'll get through that. And now I'm going to do your bio, Kat. So please just stop me if I'm saying anything
Sure.
incorrectly or help me along the way. Kat Sweeney is a queer ADHD coach. She provides chaos-friendly coaching to real humans like that.
Perfect ones.
To real humans, not perfect ones. That's awesome.
Yep.
Belonging, connection, collaboration, creativity, and inclusivity are some of the values she brings to her coaching and her personal life. She's also a mom, a pet mom, and a lover of sunflowers. And you've got sunflowers on today. I
I
saw.
do, yes.
That's also. I was going to actually ask you if it's part of the sunflower lanyard scheme.
So actually, are we done with the intro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I can
yeah,
go
let me
back to
adjust that. Yeah. So originally, no, I picked sunflowers kind of as my branding because I love them, but also because sunflowers, until they reach full maturity, they will follow the sun no matter where it is and no matter where they're planted. And I just thought that was such a beautiful metaphor for neurodivergent people, and our need to follow that sun and follow that light, that's why I chose it. I later found out that sunflowers are now being used as a sign for invisible disability, which works
Nice.
perfectly, but was not my original intent. I just loved sunflowers and what they said, but it's worked
That's awesome.
well into my
Yeah. That's
coaching.
perfect. And
Yeah.
I mean, it actually worked out really well. The sunflower lanyard people that organize or the organizers are amazing. So I think even if you can maybe chat to them and have like a few lanyards that you can
Yeah.
provide or from your website or become like like a representative or something.
Definitely
They've,
check into that.
yeah, they sponsored actually one of the conferences that we organized here in
Okay.
Portugal. So they sponsored all the lanyards for all the participants. So I was able to,
Wow.
yeah, help a little bit with advocating.
That's
Um,
amazing.
Also, you're a master's certified life coach with an ACC from ICF. That sounds like a lot of abbreviations, but I think you'll be able to explain that. ICF, I know, is the International Coaching Federation, right? Foundation
Yes.
or federation.
Federation.
And the ACC, what does that stand for
So
again?
ACC is Associate Certified Coach. It's there. So once you've taken all of the education, you have to do 100 hours of actual coaching and take a test and be evaluated, have your coaching session evaluated. Once you do all that and have successfully done it all, you receive your ACC. So that's what I am now.
Okay.
You can go higher than that. with more education, more hours, which I'm slowly working towards, but it's
Yeah.
not the most important thing to me.
Of course, yeah. And it's also really nice that you've got the combination of, you've got the clinical side, but also the lived experience, which I think that's really what we should all be striving for is like having, well, you can't strive towards like the lived experience, but if you have it, it's so nice to also have that clinical background too, which is great.
Yeah, I think when it comes to ADHD coaching or coaching for any kind of neurodivergent, I strongly recommend to people that they work with somebody who has both education and experience. I just find it incredibly valuable in terms of being
Yeah.
able to understand what's happening. So, yeah, and I have been officially diagnosed with ADHD as a child and again as an adult. It's suspected that I'm actually ADHD, which is the autism and ADHD
Combination.
combination special. So, but I haven't bothered to it's expensive to get tested as an adult, so
Yeah.
I haven't gone to do the official testing.
Yeah, I'm also suspected to be an ADHDer. I kind of just paused it. I leaned into my ADHD there and I was like, well, let me just pause this for, next year. But
Yeah.
you're also an ADHD and executive function coach, which is great because that's what us ADHDers need. But I do want to ask you about joy because that's our topic. So
Yeah.
how would you define joy for a neurodivergent individual?
So for me, I consider joy as any kind of moments where I can feel regulated, connected, and fully authentic. So joy doesn't have to be super loud. It can be sensory based or interest based or relief based. There's like a lot of different types of joy. And like a very small example is every morning that every weekday, I wake up, I sit down at my computer, I light a candle, vanilla, because I love the smell of vanilla and it brings me joy. And I watch something funny on the internet before I start my day, just to start the day with a little bit of laughter. Um, and, that's
Yeah.
a tiny moment of joy that I built into my daily routine.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you spoke about joy now, it reminded me of like the flow state that we strive towards. And I think especially for us neurodivergent individuals that are so sensory sensitive and our nervous system is kind of like a fight or flight the entire time. I have to create flow state opportunities throughout the day. Otherwise, I would always be super anxious. It sounded very similar. Would you say it is
I think so,
similar?
yeah. It's so exhausting to be neurodivergent and
Yeah.
masking and trying to do all the
Mm.
things, and so, yeah, I think if we don't have those moments or those times when we can be who we are and not have to think about anything else, that's one of the biggest joys I think we can ask for.
What about certain barriers? What would you say are certain barriers that we as neurodivergent individuals have of experiencing joy?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few. I think one of them is simply our struggle with executive dysfunction. For example, task initiation. Sometimes we can't even start the thing that we know will feel good, right? Like, I
Mm.
know if I take a shower, I'm going to feel good, but I can't make myself take a shower. So there's some of that. There's some shame, and internalized, like, I should be doing something else. I should be being productive. I need to earn joy instead of I deserve joy. There is burnout. That's a classic thing where you just don't have it in you. There's trauma, there's feelings of, I'm not doing enough or I'm simply not enough to deserve joy. And it's not so much that neurodivergent people don't experience joy, it's that our environment often makes it feel impossible or inaccessible.
Yeah, right. And in those moments, like you were mentioning quite big topics there, right? Like burnout and executive dysfunction and, like the shame and the guilt that we feel and we don't deserve joy, which is
Mm.
like that. I related really well to that because I would watch something, and a lot of my clients would say this too. I would watch something and I would just have my computer open because at least it's there. So, I don't feel as guilty for watching just the show at night, like 8 p.m. I'm like, maybe I can just like do something on the side here. But like, how do we then, as neurodivergent individuals, if you can say this to me, please, because I also want to learn how to do this, how can we actually experience or create joyful moments, even in executive dysfunction? Like you mentioned, like I want to shower because I know it's good for me, but how do I actually do that? Or the show and turn off my laptop?
That's a great question. So it's really hard for neurodivergent people, and especially hard for people who were born or socialized as female, because we are told, sit still, act like a lady, and our worth is often equated to how much we're getting done, what we're doing around the house, etc. So it makes it even harder to kind of break that down. So I work with a lot of clients on lowering the bar a little, because joy doesn't have to require energy or like planning or a big thing. It doesn't require 45 minutes to take a bubble bath. And that's great if you can get it, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. But we have to start thinking in almost micro moments, because otherwise, we won't do it, right? And so you can, doing things like even just stepping outside for a minute. Or the other day, I stopped when I came up the stairs. There's a window that looks out to some trees, and there was a gorgeous cardinal like sitting right there on the tree. So I just stopped for, 20 seconds and thought about how pretty that bird was and how it was singing, and it made me happy. And so we really have to find those micro moments and notice them, right? Joy doesn't have to be something that's going to fix your whole day, because most of the time it's probably not. So you have to let joy be like imperfect and within what's already happening, so that you're not trying to work to get joy, to create joy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I was also thinking about we have these hangouts on Caboose, weekly hangouts, so it's free for everyone that they can join. I have a mental health hangout where I get a similar group of people every week, which is great because we've built such a nice like friendship, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about distracting ourselves by, if it is like if you are in a very intense environment, and like you said, it's very important, very difficult for neurodivergent individuals just living, because everything is so loud and unpredictable and messy and things like those. Those are just my pet
Yeah.
peeves, but
Yes.
but there are so many other things. And one of the participants is actually in an area that's unsafe at the moment,
Mm.
like a like a struck area. It's something that we spoke about, like kind of disassociating from where you are and then distracting yourself with something that brings you joy, just to kind of have a moment where you're just like, oh, I can just breathe. Do you think that that's similar too? Like that
It
kind of
is.
just put our heads in the
It
sand?
Well, it sort of. So I'm in the States, and
Mhm.
the I apologize. I didn't do it. Sorry. It wasn't my
You
fault.
had to give a disclaimer. I'm so sorry that I am in America.
Yeah, right now I really am. And so there's some grief and some trauma in like, what
Mhm.
do we do? Right? How are we supposed to be joyful, when our country is imploding and, the world's on fire, right? Like, and then we
Yeah.
feel guilty for finding those moments of joy too. But if you don't find those tiny ways that are meaningful, your joy and hope are going to recede, and your depression is going to increase. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not about necessarily forgetting what's going on around us. It's limiting our access to it, because,
Yeah.
for me, I can only do what I can do, right? I can't solve the whole country's problems, but what I can do is something meaningful, like have some yard decorations that espouse my general feelings and make my neighbors feel
Mhm.
safe.
Mhm.
Those are things I can do now. And I can find joy in that, even while I don't have all the answers for the
Yeah.
rest of the country, but I can help myself or somebody else, even if it's just for a moment.
Yeah. I think those moments are really important. I think
So
like, and the limiting your access to, sorry, there's something in my eye and it keeps bothering me now, but limiting your access to what you're taking in and like what, because we're so hypersensitive and hypervigilant too. for many reasons. But, like if I keep on watching the news, I get depressed. I don't want to look at everything that's going on. And just because we can now doesn't mean we should.
Right. Well, and there's so much, right? It's every
Mm,
day, every hour of every day, there's something, and it can be depressing, it can be overwhelming, it can make you feel hopeless. And
yeah.
so at the same time, many of us want to know what's going on. We want to stay connected. But so it's really about kind of finding that balance.
Mm,
I limit my, say, political news to like one source that I trust,
yeah.
and that's it. And I don't do a lot of other social media
Mm,
ing about the thing because it creates anxiety. And again, it's not that I don't want to help, it's that I can only help if I'm healthy.
that's exactly it. Yeah. You need to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help the others.
And for
Let's
some
go
of
back
us, that's
to, sorry.
so counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Like many of us, especially coaches and anybody in the clinical profession, like we're helpers, right? We
Mm,
want to help. And so instinctively, when we think of having to put that oxygen mask on, I know in that situation, I'd want to help the person next to me first,
yeah.
right? And so it's
Mm,
a conscious choice we have to make.
yeah. And it takes practice. I think the one thing I asked one of my clients, because I read this somewhere, was if you were in your best friend's or your partner, the person that you absolutely love, if you were in their body for a week and you had to make that same decision, what would you do? Would you put the oxygen mask on yourself first or the other person? And then we actually tend to do it ourselves because we're like, oh, I don't want to hurt my best friend. So sometimes we can use that ability of us being so empathic to our advantage, I think.
Absolutely. And I use that often when clients get hard on themselves. And we
Mm,
do. We just do. We're so hard on ourselves by having them imagine that the exact same scenario was happening to their best friend, right? Or their
yeah.
child or their mother, somebody they love.
Mm,
And then when they realize that, oh, they'd give that person much more grace than they give themselves, it's like, well, can we offer ourselves the same kind of kindness
mm.
and grace that we offer the people we love?
Exactly. Yeah, it makes a difference. If we're thinking about, because that actually goes kind of nicely into my next question about camouflaging and masking. How do we experience or how does masking or camouflaging affect our ability to experience joy? Does it change? Because I would say if I'm pre-diagnosis, when I was pre-diagnosis, I would find joy in the things that I would see my friends find joy, and now I'm like, I don't find that joyful at all. Going out to a noisy restaurant, I would much rather order in and have one friend come over.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have any
Yes.
advice or
Yeah, so
thing.
masking, it's exhausting
Mm,
and it kind of disconnects us from the things that create joy. So when we're masking or camouflaging, we're constantly monitoring ourselves, our surroundings. We might be suppressing stims or fidgeting. We might be worrying about what our face looks like. Are we giving enough eye contact? It's a constant litany of monitoring ourselves. And because we're doing that, we're losing track of the things that we enjoy and actually feel good, like in our body. So the joy tends to be replaced with things like fitting in and approval. And you can't really experience joy when you don't feel like yourself.
mhm,
Um, it just adds like this extra layer of. I had a client ask me one time, a parent who had a child in school that was struggling and was doing well in school, but was struggling at home. And I said, because they're spending their entire day at school managing, right? Fitting
mhm,
into the rules, sitting still, trying to focus, trying to follow along, and comparing themselves to their classmates. So by the time they
mhm,
come home, they're exhausted, they're cranky, they're ready to
mhm,
not be told what to do. And so when we can be a little bit freer. For example, I used to hate doing any kind of public speaking or even this type of thing because
mm,
I lose my place, I lose my train of thought sometimes, and that I used to get embarrassed by that. And also, I needed fidgets, right? So I don't today, but I often have fidgets and I used to try to hide them And I found that
Um,
when I just tell people up front, like, "Hey, I have
yeah,
ADHD and I might lose my train of thought," people are very okay with that.
yeah, yeah. People are
When
actually I find people are actually more relaxed then because 'cause they're like, "Oh, okay,
I
I can also
am.
be myself."
Yeah, I definitely am when even with, like, a speaker, when I know that they're being real, it
Mm,
feels better,
so
right?
much better, yeah.
Um,
I think also because we've got that intensity with our sensory system. Like I can just feel when somebody is masking, and then I get upset. I get anxious because I'm like, oh, maybe I should mask more. Like when you were talking now, I was like, am I smiling enough? Like, should I smile now? I should probably not smile now. 'Cause I do, like, sometimes I watch my videos and I'm like, "Yeah, people probably think I have no emotions because I'm just, like, sitting there," but I'm really concentrating to listen so that I don't drift off because of my brain. So I'm like, "Concentrate, concentrate, concentrate," and then I'm like, "And smile, smile," and then I'm lost, then I'm not
yeah,
listening anymore. So when I smile, you know that I'm not listening. I'm not.
that's the exact thing, like, we're so it can be things like, am I standing correctly? Am I using my
Yeah.
should my hands be in my pocket? Should they be in front of me? Should they be crossed? Like,
It's
I found out once
exhausting.
that many neurotypical people don't have that.
Yeah,
And I was like, "What? Like, you
and,
just stand?"
like, how do you do it? How do you switch that off? Because that would be amazing. It would honestly think I would have so much more energy at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, after like 8 hours of sessions or doing lives or anything, I'm exhausted. So I'm just like, I don't speak. And then I think this is important to have those joyful moments where you're like, okay, I don't have to speak, but maybe I can do something that's a little bit nicer than just like, because this is me after sessions. I just zone out in front of the TV like this, like even with my mouth open because I'm that
Y
exhausted.
yes.
Maybe I should just do one joyful thing, like touching something nice and shiny,
Y
something.
yes.
I'm going to try this.
I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of great little mindfulness tricks, like you just had, like holding something shiny, really paying attention to something you're eating or drinking and, like, how it
Mhm.
tastes and, stuff like that can help. So for me, I have pets, so a lot of times after work,
Mhm.
I need to kind of, like, bury my face in a pet to kind of, like,
Cute.
transition out of work mode. I am privileged enough that I don't have to work 40 hours a week. And so
Mhm.
that has helped me a great deal. Um,
Mhm.
but then um, I try to build like small, like I don't know, joy anchors,
Mhm.
like throughout the day, like I do with the morning ritual of like having a candle and listening to something funny.
Yeah.
Um, so I try to do that, but see there, I lost my train of thought.
No, but this is good. Actually, I wanted to actually get back to what you said in the beginning, right? Because of that ritual, that morning ritual. I have a morning ritual, and if anyone screws with that morning ritual, I get really upset. I eat the same
Me too.
cat, I eat the same yogurt every single day. And if that shop, which I'm not going to name and shame now because, maybe they do run out of this one day and then my life is going to be very difficult. But if that shop stops selling that white yogurt with the caramel inside, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I have granola with that. That's it. And then the best coffee. I have to have really good coffee. If that does my morning routine doesn't start like that, then everything feels out of whack.
Yes. I eat the exact same breakfast every morning.
You're such ADHDers. Do not touch my yogurt.
And I had always had food struggles and didn't know that I just thought I was a picky eater
Yeah, me
until
too.
I
Picky. Oh, you're
realized,
so
"Oh,"
picky. You're so sensitive. You're picky, Carla.
I'm like, "I have, like, 8 things that I eat."
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot. That's a lot.
That is.
It's not
That's a
just
lot.
one or two, Kat. I think it's great. I think
So,
eight
but it
is.
is, and so, yeah, I do. I get my breakfast and I sit down and I watch usually, uh bloopers of one of my favorite TV shows or something that's gonna make me
Okay.
laugh because I found that that was a way better way for me to start the day than by
Mhm.
watching news.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's brilliant. But also you're tricking your brain, right? Your brain's like, "Oh, I'm actually in a really happy mood." So,
Yes.
like, the day is starting already in a great mood. I cap my news intake to one podcast just to know what's going on, and it's one podcast that I trust, and it's 3 minutes long. It doesn't go over that, and then immediately I listen to, like, really calming music, something like Ludovico Evaldi or, Einaudi. I just said his name wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ludovica. Something relaxing, something, that can transcend me. You were also talking about like humor is one, but you get like Karma Muta and what's the other one? Awe-inspiring video. So like that transcendent emotion where it's like it
Yes.
takes you out of your body a little bit, which is
Yeah.
really nice. I have completely forgotten that we need to stick to questions. So let me go back to the questions. What are some small practical ways to start prioritizing joy in your routine? So kind of like the anchor in the mornings. What is
Yes.
something else that you think that people
S-
can do from today?
So a lot of times it's about building joy into the things you're already doing, even if it's just a little bit. So, um, having a fun cup, if it will help make
Oh,
you
nice.
drink more water, which it actually has for me, weirdly. Um,
Nice.
or using fun colored pens at work,
Yeah.
or um, one of my clients was having a struggle with she she wanted to do meal prepping. She liked having done the meal prepping, but she hated doing it every week. Just hated it. And I said, "What could make it more fun?" And she said, "Dancing naked while I do it." And that's what she
Awesome.
does. Right? Like I was like,
That's,
"You go, girl."
yeah. Come dead.
Like you do you.
Yeah.
And so, just trying to find something that will help. So, another example might be I struggle personally getting in the shower, right? It's embarrassing how much of a struggle it it's less now, but that it was for a while. And I couldn't figure out I knew it was the transition. I knew that transitions are hard for us, but it was really hard. And I finally really tried to peel apart, like, what about it is so difficult? And it came down to I was bored in the shower,
Mm,
right?
oh
And
wow.
so
Yeah.
simply by adding music or a podcast, or even my partner will stand outside the shower and we'll have a conversation while I'm doing it,
Mm.
I'm like 50% more likely to do it, right? Because I
Nice.
found
I
a
was
way.
I was going to recommend like crayons. I love crayons. Like, the
Ooh,
crayons. I love shiny things. I'm like a 5-year-old, swear.
yeah.
And
So,
I love
that's
them.
exactly the kind of thing, right? Like,
Nice.
or, many people will, when they're working out, they listen to music or a podcast or a
Mm,
book on tape. Um, I collect sunflowers and rainbows, and so having them around where I can see them,
mm,
that helps. So
yeah.
it's really about bringing the joy in to what you're already doing so
Mm.
that it's not a huge effort.
Yeah, also don't I just want to say that it's not embarrassing what you mentioned. Hey, like I think there are so many people that struggle with self-help skills. I can't cook, Kat. Like I'm 41. I am never going to cook. I can cook, but it's not edible. Yeah, like that's
Yep. I
that's not hard.
Yes, my family, all of the women in my family, my grandmother, my mother, myself, and my sister all got together with men who cook.
That's see, this
So
is what
beautiful.
yeah. Okay, but can I just say, put a disclaimer here? I've dated so many chefs and I've realized I'm doing it wrong. They don't cook when they come home. So I have stopped doing that. Now I'm just going for people that enjoy cooking. It's
The
better.
other
Just letting people
the
out there
other
know.
caveat is if you have someone who likes to cook and you only eat 8 foods.
True, yeah. They might get frustrated.
Yeah, it happens, but, we've been together for 23 years, so we figure it out.
Yeah, that's good. So maybe just somebody that likes you. Maybe
That's
that's the one
exactly
that
it.
we're missing.
I tell people, he picks vegetables out of my soup for me.
Oh,
Now,
that's the one.
that's not a keeper,
That's
right?
the keeper. Yeah. Do you know, like my best friend actually, what she does is, I get very sensory with anything that's outside of my say foods. So she has to, if I have to eat seafood, which I don't really like eating, but if I have to eat it, she'll take off all the like the tentacles and stuff. Like I won't eat octopus, there's no way. But you know, if it is like a lobster, oh, I don't know if I'll do lobster, but if it
I
is
get
like
it.
a prawns or something, like she'll take the heads off for me. She's like, "Oh, do you need me to take those off for you?" I'm like, "Yeah, please."
That's best friend.
That's what best friends are for. It's like you're stuck with me.
Yeah, I went to stay at a friend's house to help him with some stuff, and he said, "What do you want me to get at the grocery store for while you're here?" And I said, "Basically, if you get saltines, peanut butter, and Diet Pepsi, I'm fine."
Fine for a month. That's all I need. I could do it all different ways. Do you know what that reminds me of that movie? What is that? A shrimp soup? Shrimp salad?
Yes.
Forrest Gump, shrimp on a stick?
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I had a friend once, so it's fondly joked around about my family and friends about how much I love bacon, because I will sometimes have
Yeah.
bacon more than once a day. Love bacon. It's
Yeah.
the best food ever invented, in my opinion. And I had a friend of mine made bacon wrapped bacon for me. It was amazing. That's
Oh,
joyful, right?
that is, yeah, exactly. Just, and I mean, that's the thing, right? Like once we know what we actually absolutely love, like my interests are shiny new things. I love it. That's how I get through a lot of my tasks. So a lot of the boring stuff, I would just add, like you mentioned earlier, I would add in glitter or like colorful things. I always have like a lot of colorful things around me. So it's like if I could just add a few colorful things to something boring, then I'll probably do it. I'll finish it.
I have a problem with stickering things. I
Love
sticker
stickers.
everything.
Oh, I love stickers too.
So everything's got stickers.
Yeah. We don't need to, we really honestly don't need to grow up because it's like, what is growing up? It's so gray there.
I had somebody, a family member, not recently, about 5 years ago, which was still, I was in my 40s. I had a strawberry shortcake wallet that I was using. And I
Cute.
pulled it up, right? It out to pay for something. And she was like, "You are too old for that." And I was like, "I am not too old for anything other than baby food
Exactly.
and diapers.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
that, it's whatever I want." Like,
Yeah, exactly. And even with baby food, like if that's what you're eating, that's
well, yeah,
okay.
that's what I, there are some baby foods that are really good.
Yeah, I remember. I used to love it. No, but honestly, it's I don't understand why we've become or succumb to this idea of, oh, okay, so now we need to dress like this or act like this or eat like this or talk like this. It's like, no, actually, I was way more myself when I was a kid, and I didn't actually know that what was expected of me at this age.
Right?
So
Yeah.
just I think we should just all be ourselves. I mean, I'm one like I love tattoos. My entire body is full of tattoos. I try to hide it when I'm doing these talks because I want to be professional. But luckily with Caboose, I can just be myself.
Yes.
I'm never gonna stop.
And that,
I'm already, yeah,
and that, the, having a workplace that you can be yourself, like that's
so important.
amazing.
Mhm.
I don't have a body full of tattoos, but I do have several. I have purple hair. Um, and
Nice.
so, you know, I work for myself now, but prior to working for myself, it was always iffy if somebody was going to accept, because I don't tend to
Mm,
hide things.
yeah.
Like, I just don't.
Yeah, but that's good. I think it's, yeah, finding the place, the people, and even if you're in a space, because not everyone is as like can find a work environment that is neuro affirming, which is really sad.
Yes.
But finding a person, a safe person that could help you through these moments, I think is very important.
Yeah, my last job that I worked for somebody else, I was working in our local LGBTQ center, and it was normally fairly good to work with them. They were usually pretty good, but I did have a person that if I really was struggling, that knew, that I get overwhelmed easy and I get some sensory stuff, that I could go to and just say, "Can I stand in your office for a minute and breathe?"
Nice. Yeah. That's all. I mean, that is it. Like that same best friend that I was talking about, when I'm overwhelmed in a very sensory, overwhelming space, she will just tell me because she knows. She'll just say, "You're doing a great job." This was in my at my birthday. She's like, "You're doing great. You seem so calm." But she knows I'm not. But just to kind of like, I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I don't look how I feel. She's like, "No, you seem brilliant. Don't worry." That's
Having
awesome.
having people that understand too. My partner, I used to host events prior to the pandemic, and at the prep for events, like the day of, I'm not a nice person. I'm focused and I'm like, do this, do this, do this, do this. And the first year he helped me, he was like, "Are you mad at me?" And like now he's like, "That's just the way you are. And it's
Yeah.
not personal." And I've gotten better too. But it was knowing that it was just how I was
Presenting,
responding
yeah.
to that
Yeah.
pressure and then him not taking it personally, like, that was a huge help for our relationship.
So important. Just
Yeah.
somebody that gets it, somebody that gets us and understands our intent. Because I think a lot of times we come across very different to what we're feeling. So I get a lot of times like, "Oh, you're so bitchy," or, like
Yes.
when I'm just being direct and I'm honestly trying to, for there not to be miscommunication. And then ironically, there is
I get
miscommunication because I'm direct.
the exact same thing. I It took me a while, and I still don't always get it, um, but before I realized I was likely also autistic, um, I was forever being told that I came across as bitchy or
Mm.
and I was, like, completely
How? Yeah.
flabbergasted by that. I was like, "What do you mean? I'm trying to be as direct as possible, as, no hidden
Honest.
agendas,
Yeah.
but I think we're so accustomed to being told we're wrong that we
Mm,
over-explain things or, when we
mm,
try to be direct and succinct, we get the bitchy.
mm. Yeah, and the low affect too, because like I said, I need to remind myself to
I do
smile
that sometimes
and
too.
not look creepy. So I'm like, um, what about
That didn't look
workplaces?
creepy at all.
How do you think about workplaces? We did touch on it earlier, but how can workplaces or communities better support neurodivergent people in finding joy if they're open for it, of course?
So,
Hopefully they
basically,
are.
the key is to remove the barriers so that people can access well-being, engagement, joy. So, joy is going to increase when people feel safe, respected. So, some of the things companies can do, organizations can do, offer flexibility, whether that's in time, start and end times, flex time, um, the environment, sometimes working from home or in the office, the way people communicate um, is also. Ooh, I lost my. There we go. Um,
Sorry.
can also be different and allowing for that. Normalizing different working styles, like, not everybody works the same, reducing any kind of unnecessary pressure or urgency, like timelines that don't really have a meaning, and then, like, encouraging things like, taking breaks, doing some movement, allowing things like headphones if somebody is struggles with the noise in the office or different lighting if, fluorescent lighting is awful for a lot of neurodivergent people, offering a different option. So I'm always saying that the big thing is to allow for as many options as possible because
Mm,
that's the way the most people will feel included and feel like they're being respected. I
mm,
started a job once and it was just a part-time job and my employer said to me, "What benefit would most benefit you?" Because I didn't qualify for all benefits, right? But instead of just assigning a benefit to me, they were like, "What would actually
mm.
benefit you?" And I was so taken aback because nobody had ever asked me that before.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice that they did.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was able to say, "Oh, actually, life insurance would be great. Have health insurance
Mm,
covered a different way." Like, and so that's what they gave me. And I was like, so just that flexibility to like
mm,
pick what you actually need or would be
mm.
helpful, that can go a long, long way.
Yeah, I think being flexible is such a good thing to be towards neurodivergent people because I think we've needed to be flexible. We are needing to be flexible all the time with everything, like the way that we would ideally be in a workplace scenario or in a meeting or outside with friends is very different to what's happening. So we're always trying to be flexible and accommodating. So it is really nice if somebody just says like, "Hey, do you want?" Like even with friends, like when my girlfriends would ask me, "Do you want to go to this restaurant or this one?" Just because we know that you're hating the loud ones. So which one do you prefer? So I can go check them out on
Right.
Google. I can check like the reviews of like the sound and stuff, and then can make a decision. I can even drive past
Right.
first. Like it's small things,
Right.
really.
I have a lot of anxieties around going places alone, driving
Right.
especially. And so often my friends will do things like that. They'll either pick a place I'm familiar with, or they'll give me
Mm,
enough time to kind of scope it out ahead of time so that I know how to
nice.
where what the parking situation is, and or they'll offer to come pick me up.
Nice. Yes.
So, yeah, just options. I will say with work, I did a whole thing once about emails, that how to like write an email that doesn't freak out your neurodivergent, because
Mm,
and just things like being direct and like in the subject line, like meeting Tuesday about next week's program, instead of just a
yeah.
vague thing, because that makes us worry. Like, please don't say we need to talk later.
Oh, anyone, any person that tells me they need to talk to me, I'm like, death. They're
Yep.
breaking up. They hate me. I'm
Yep.
getting
You're getting
fired.
fired. Yep.
It's like,
Yeah, and so, like, it can be
oh, it makes me
changed
so
so easily
anxious.
with just being a little bit clear. Another
Yeah.
another tip for that is when you're emailing your coworkers or your subordinates, let them know what response you're looking for. Like, are
Mm,
you looking for a yes or no answer? Are you looking for some discussion here? Are you looking for me to say, "Yes, sir"? Are you just
yeah.
informing me? Like, because
Yeah.
sometimes we get emails and we're not sure what we're supposed to do with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just a response like, I would like to hear back from you by this
Yes.
time, and
Yes,
this is what
exactly.
I'm expecting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be such a neurodivergent, non-friendly person and just mention that the fidget is loud. I'm so sorry.
My
I can
fidget?
hear. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No,
No,
that's
but you can
fine.
still no, you can still use
I
it.
have
I
other ones.
promise.
Nope,
Okay,
I have
okay,
other ones
okay.
right
I'm
by
so
me.
sorry.
No,
Because
that's fine.
you know what I do is I used to do it like this the whole time, and I'm still doing it, and I'm like, Carla,
Yeah.
relax, like find a different fidget. And
I
then I
have
heard yours. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. The worst thing, it comes to worst, I have a fidget ring, so I could just
Oh,
play
that's
with it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it has a
I love
sunflower.
that.
I don't know if you could see it, but
Of
it has a little
course.
sunflower.
Nice. That's
So, yeah,
brilliant.
I couldn't hear it because over my headphones.
Oh,
So,
yes. Yeah, no, but it wasn't, like, super loud. I'm just very sensitive, and
nope,
I'm
totally
actually a
fine.
hypocrite because sometimes I make sounds. Okay. Okay, I've got 3 more questions for you, and I think we're actually gonna be in time, so that's great. What about tools like Neuro Nuggets? Because while you were talking and I'm like, "Okay, so Neuro Nuggets in the workplaces could be really good for people just to kind of see what would help." Um, what about, like, discovering joy and practicing joy? Do you think that Neuro Nuggets could be part of that or a source of that?
Well, yeah, Neuro Nuggets, because they're accessible, right? They're short, they're accessible, they're doable. I think they could be used just about anywhere. Any kind of thing that helps ADHD brains learn that without overwhelm is a big plus in my book. I can't tell you how many self-help things out there are, or whatever, that are just like so complicated or have too many
Mm,
choices that I needed something easy, and I love that about Neuro Nuggets, is that they're doable
yeah.
action, you know.
And you also did some, right? So can you share an example of one of the ones that you did and specifically on joy and what you kind of spoke about?
I spoke a lot about many of the things we talked about today, and just got more in depth with some of them,
Okay.
and I haven't listened to it lately, so I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, but that's awesome. Maybe people can go and check it
Yeah,
out
please do.
and yeah. I really like the focus on joy, focusing on finding something that you actually like and that you're not supposed to like.
Yeah.
That's like your
The
wallet.
ones I did too, I also did, worksheets to go with
Oh,
so that,
nice.
sometimes people like a takeaway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm adding resources for all the Neuro Nuggets at the moment, which is quite fun. So I'm going through the Neuro Nuggets and then creating like PDFs that people can just kind of download and remind themselves, or like
That's
a one
great.
pager, so that we have different things for different brains. Like for me, I need a one pager, but other people, like some of my friends would need like a whole like slideshow of things to remind themselves. So we've got all of those.
I always think that I need the big thing, but I only ever end up using the little thing. But, like, I'm
Little
also the
thing.
person that screenshots a million things and never goes back and looks at them.
Oh, do you know what? I checked out my screenshots. I think it was over 50,000 the last time I
Oh
checked.
my gosh. I don't know how many I have. I'm afraid to look.
Don't do it to yourself, because it might actually just ignite the shame. Like, I've never looked at it. Of those 50,000, I
Oh,
don't think
dear,
I've
dear.
gone back to look at one screenshot, but I know it's there. See, this is the thing. It's like, I'm not going to stop doing it, Kat, because
I know.
it calms me, because I know somewhere I've saved it. So even if I never look at it again, it just
Mm,
calms my nervous system.
yep. So,
That's
it's
perfect.
very common.
Very common. Thank you. This is what we need to hear. We need to hear that we're not
So
like weird, or the ones that's like, oh my God, how do you do that? Like, no, I do it and it's fine. And you're doing it. And now I feel more relaxed.
yes. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, "Oh, it's like when you buy a brand new notebook and you're convinced it's gonna, like, solve all your problems." And she was just like, "How did you know?"
Nice. Oh, nice. I have so many notebooks, so many, or books. And then I read the thing in Japan where they say that you're like a collector of books that you never read. There's a word for it in Japanese. And no, but this is good. This is good because it means that there are like a whole country of people that are doing it. Like, I think there's a higher population. I can't say this because I'm a clinician, but I think there's a high population of autistic individuals in Japan because they feel so probably so at ease as well. So they're unmasking. I just
Yeah.
think it's a brilliant place. Anyways, okay, last question for you. How can neurodivergent people unlearn, I almost said unteam, unlearn societal pressures that tell us we're not doing joy right? Oh, we've spoken about this. It's a good one.
Yeah. So eliminate should, right?
Mm,
I should be
yeah,
doing this, I should be doing that. I should feel better. I should, stop shitting on yourself. It's just
love
not
that.
good. Just not
Yeah.
good. You wanna there's no correct way to experience joy, so,
Mm,
you know, let go of, like, what it should look like or the idea that you need to earn it. Like, you did
mm,
earn it. You breathed today, right?
yeah.
And instead, try to replace those nagging thoughts with curiosity. Like, what would
Mm,
feel good right now? What would help me feel better in this moment? You wanna normalize, not just the joy that we see on TV, but weird joy, inconsistent joy, quiet joy.
mm.
If it feels good and it's safe, it counts.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Touching stuff
yeah.
sometimes to me, it's like the smallest thing. Like you said with pets, right? So I love my dog as my best friend. I even have a tattoo of him, of course.
Oh,
So I've got a tattoo of my older doggy. She was 17 when she passed away. And then this one is the one that's downstairs. He's usually lying here, but he's not today. But I mean, I can sit with, his name is Boris, and I can sit with Boris for a moment and I could feel joy. It's just,
that's my
who's that?
that's Isabel. She's one of my
Oh,
dogs. I don't have a close picture of the other one, but she's made
Isabel's
to
so
be cute
beautiful.
and to, like,
Mm,
comfort you. So, like, you just can't
so
help but
good.
smile, right?
Yeah, that's Kamamuta. So Kamamuta is that feeling of being moved by love. And I
Mm.
feel like we struggle with it as neurodivergent individuals with, humans because humans are so inconsistent. If we don't have our tribe, or like I can't really use the word tribe, but if we don't have our community, like within Caboose, where we have these like little pockets of community, which is great, I would highly recommend finding those communities. But once, until you find it, to try and just focus on pets because they're consistent. They give you
Yes.
unconditional love. They're always there for you. They're always excited to see you. I
Yes,
mean,
I just saw a ad in my city for puppy yoga. I've heard of
oh,
goat yoga. Now they're doing puppy yoga, and I am intrigued.
oh, that'd be so cute to do yoga with puppies.
It would be. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I literally saw it yesterday night.
That's
So,
so yeah, I take my dog everywhere too. He's definitely my not like a what do you call it, like an actual emotional animal, but he is my emotional animal. So he's going with me everywhere. When I feel nervous, like you said, when you go to places by yourself, I take Boris with me. So Boris goes everywhere
yay. That's
that he's
awesome.
allowed. Yeah. Okay, Kat, I want to thank you so much. I don't think we have any questions today, but I have
Okay.
really enjoyed this chat.
Me
I know that
too.
we went completely off the
Oh,
questions
I
on
thought it was
joy, but I
great.
think we did like a nice roundabout.
And the other thing for me is I filled my area with joy.
Yeah, I saw this. What's the thing in the back with the light that comes out? Because that looks really cool.
This light, it's actually just a lamp with it has a sunflower on the lampshade, but you can't really see it.
It looks like it, you know, the ET phone home. It
It
looks like that
does.
from this angle. It looks
It
so cool.
does. So, yeah.
Yeah, your
Sunflowers
room
and
so happy. It's like a happy space. I have a projector at the bottom. They actually sent it to me as a gift. Where you can put like the galaxy up on the wall. So that's something that I do at night, and I'm actually learning about planets and galaxies and so on. So
that
yes,
sounds
anything,
fun.
yeah, light, colors, shapes, anything that, I mean, the dollar store or the pound store, wherever you are, just going in there and just like going wild. Have a budget,
Yes.
but then go wild.
Yes. Yeah, I do a lot of coloring. I love to color.
Yeah,
That in
nice.
fact, that right there I painted those two sunflowers looking at each
Cool.
other just for fun.
Yeah, I think we need to like explore and see like new things. What gives us that, like just that moment where we're like, oh, I can be myself.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a little bit more like that. That's awesome. I'm going to do a quick wrap up. Thank you, of course, for your time. I really enjoyed it. I had a joyful time. I had a
Oh, that makes
joyful
me happy.
hour. So
Yay!
that's a big one. This is a reminder to the audience that we have a range of divergent discussions coming up. You can find all of the details at the Caboose app, as well as our newly launched Neuro Nuggets, which are short, practical guides that help you understand how your brain works and find ways to make work and life easier. There are also for workplaces to help create more inclusive spaces created by neurodivergent people with lived experience. And Kat is also there. I'm also on the Neuro Nuggets. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you. This was
And
great.
I will, yeah, it was so lovely. I would love to speak to you again as well.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.